Well, hey everybody, Jonathan Doyle with you as always. Welcome back, my friends, to the Daily Message. Great to have you here. Another quick one for you today. Please make sure you've subscribed as always. If you haven't done it, it does make a big difference. Hit that subscribe button today. Just hit it. Check out the notification bell as well. It makes a big difference to me. It's very helpful, so please check that out. Hit those subscribe options and go and check out the description here because you can get free access to my book. You can find out how to book me to come and speak at your conference, your business, your school, your organization, your whatever. Check out how to book me to speak. And there's links here to the podcast version. If you like podcasts, they're easier for you. And always in the podcast, I go a fair bit deeper. So go check out the podcast version. Today, I want to talk to you about resilience and hardship. I want to talk to you about resilience and hardship. Yesterday, I talked about duty. If you haven't heard that, I did a lot of stuff yesterday on the concept of duty. Today I want to talk about resilience and hardship. Why? It's one of those things that's been resonating in my brain for the last couple of weeks because I'm aware through a lot of the coaching that I'm doing that people have a pretty limited frame of reference at the moment for hardship. It seems as a culture we've bought into the kind of narrative that we're meant to be happy most of the time, that we should always be living our best life, that financially, personally, professionally, everything should just be rolling together and working out for us. I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem to be happening for many of us. Like, honestly, at the time of recording this, the world's going into major economic meltdown, courtesy of our central banking system. We're going to face some pretty rough times. We're still dealing with all the fallout of government overreaction to COVID. So there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. Things are going to probably be pretty difficult. If you look at stuff like the books like Neil Howe's Fourth Turning, there's some pretty strong socio-cultural theories, socio-political theories that cultures go through these big ebbs and flows and cyclical patterns, and we're about to hit another one. So what do we do with hardship? What do we do when things are really difficult? The first point for me is to move into the maturity of acceptance. There's a certain groundedness and maturity that comes when you begin to realize that life is a lot more about resilience, pushing through difficult things, remaining constant under adversity. These are qualities that we deeply admire, aren't they? I mean, you look at some of the great heroes of culture that we have, we often find that these are men and women who are self-sacrificial under difficult circumstances. So I wanted to begin to create a framework for you where the first thing we need to do is remove our own subjective happiness as the core delineating factor, the core metric of whether or not our life is going exactly the way it should. Again, as I said yesterday, in an atomized culture where we're very much broken down out of the concepts of nation, town, village, family, tribe, we've been broken down into individual units. Why? Because it's always much easier to market to an individual unit than it is to a collective. So if you look at the power of global corporations and the amount of money that they can spend on creating ideas around consumption, it's much easier to market to men or women or to this age or this person or that person based on set criteria. So we're very much broken down into these individual units, and a lot of the cultural messages that are presented to us are messages of you will maximize happiness if you do this, or you experience this, or you possess this thing, you own particular things, then you will maximize happiness. So what happens in a life if you don't have those things, or you've had those things and you're not experiencing happiness, or you've got all those things but somebody that you love has a terminal illness? How do you deal with these things? First point's acceptance. First point is to accept that we are not God, that we are contingent beings, that we are in a cosmos that we did not create. And there's a certain peace that comes from accepting reality as it actually is, not as we think it necessarily should be. Hardship also, why would you in any way want it or desire it, or at least accept it when it comes? Because it is through hardship that we grow. If your life is going perfectly and your relationships are amazing and your health and fitness are phenomenal and your career could not be better, that's a good thing. Like, enjoy every second of that, because we do have little windows in life where those sorts of things are all working together for us. But what do you do when hard things happen, hard seasons come? Well, if you avoid kicking and screaming against it and being immature, and you accept that, and then you accept it as an invitation, that hardship is an invitation into levels of growth that you otherwise would not have experienced. Because it's in those moments of adversity that we are truly strengthened or broken. You see, what happens with hardship is people either get cynical, they get full of blame, it's somebody else's fault, the world's cruel, it's this, that, and the other. Massive victim culture we live in. You know, like I said, check out the podcast version of this, because I did go into this a lot deeper. But it's a victim culture, right? It's like if something's not the way you want it, well, no one tends to think, well, okay, this is really hard, I'm going to grow through this. People tend to think it must be someone's fault. It's someone else's fault. Like, I gotta, somebody needs to pay for this. I need compensation of some form. Emotional compensation, financial compensation. Somebody has to fix my problems. I'm not saying that there is an injustice visited upon people that needs to be addressed, but in general, I think our default response is rage, anger, cynicism, blame, victimhood, rather than going, this is hard, this is difficult, but I'm going to find a way. This is going to make me stronger. I'm going to be able to contribute more. I'm going to grow and be stronger than I ever thought, because these things are really difficult. So many of the great fortunes of history got made during depressions and recessions, right? Because people figured out ways to thrive when things were really, really difficult, when they may not have done so if they were really comfortable. So let's wrap this up. Whatever the hardship is in your life at the moment, I want you to start to refilter it. I want to ask yourself, what's the message here? How could I grow in this? What if I stopped resisting it? What if I stopped blaming somebody else for my unhappiness? What if my problems caused because I'm lazy or ignorant or aggressive or insensitive? Maybe I'm causing my own problems. Maybe this hardship is because I'm doing it to myself. And I need to get conscious. I need to get deliberate. I need to figure out what needs to change. I need to get relentless about change. So all of this is a way of saying that rather than resisting the hardships that come, I'm not going to say necessarily welcome them, because that's not necessarily something that all of us want to do all the time. But what if they're an invitation? Because as a parent, I know that when my kids face difficult things, they're not like, hey, Dad, this is the best. Thank you so much. I am so grateful that my life's going down the toilet right now, because I know, Dad, this is an opportunity to grow. They don't do that. They'll probably complain, and this is them, why do I have to do this? But as a father, I know, I don't put them in harm's way, right? I don't put them in danger, but I'm like, no, this is unpleasant. This is not what you want. So you're going to learn resilience, and you're going to address hardship, because I love them, right? I want them to grow. So maybe God, the universe, whatever you conceptualize it at, is sending hardship into your life because it wants you to grow, because God wants you to grow. Hope that's helpful. What if hardship's an invitation? All right, please make sure you've subscribed. Go check out the description notes, especially the podcast version. I love doing the podcast version. I love these, but the podcast one I go deeper, so go check that out. Get a free access to my book, Bridging the Gap. It's in the description here. And book me to speak. You want me to speak somewhere? Then go hit that. We'll shape a message for whatever you need. But God bless you, everybody. Let's go deal with our hardships. My name is Jonathan Doyle. This has been the Daily Message, and you and I are going to talk again tomorrow.